Summoner's War Update 8.0. This is the huge update. It's got the Spiritual Realm dungeon. It's got the Abyss dungeon floors. It's got the new units. It's got the new runes. It's got the progression revamp. It's got, I'm probably upgrading runes instantly. How could I ever possibly even think about missing that? Luckily, we've done a handful of videos kind of going over some of the stuff, half the stuff in this update, so we don't have to go over it too much. Considering it's just going to be redundant going over it for the 45th time. We do get the new unit skills, which we're going to talk about. We also get, there's a few other things in here, but let's get it started so we don't take too much time, because you know I'm going to take like 45 minutes talking about the new skills. Spiritual Realm boss skills. This is the new dungeon that we get. We did a theory crafting video. The TLDR is it's a wind unit taking fire units that have, it's a wind unit, it's passive, decreases your crit rate, cuts your crit rate in half. So taking fire units that also have buffs, because the buffs will increase the crit rate based on the new dungeon mechanics. So taking fire units that have a lot of buffs for the team is going to generally be your best option. Comtuos kind of hinted at it, and also that's what the skills kind of dictate. So we already did a whole video talking about that. We're going to come back to these new units because this is the exciting thing that we're going to spend most of the video on, I think. So we'll go over real quick the other stuff over here. New monsters, the SP Summon, of course. These cannot be used in Siege Battle Season 12, which we know because that's how they've done it the past few times. We got the Kairos Dungeon Revamp. I kind of glanced over this before. I didn't really talk too much about that, so people were like, oh, you didn't even know. I was like, no, we know, but didn't really talk about this too much, because even though the B12 dungeon that we have now is going to be the B10 dungeon, people are still going to farm the Abyss floors regardless, even though it's still going to be really nice to farm the B10. If you don't have teams for the Abyss dungeons, you can still Tricar it and whatever. Because I said in the other video, I'm like, Tricar is still going to be usable, but people are going to gravitate away from that to do these Abyss dungeon floors for the new rune sets. So yeah, there's just talking about the Kairos Dungeon Revamp and changing the difficulty of the certain levels, basically smushing the B12s into what is now going to be the B10s. And then they're going to also take the rune drops from there. But I still think people are going to farm, of course, the B12, the Abyssal B12 dungeons. What else? Oh, the symbols are getting changed, name change. Nothing really too crazy. We're also getting a symbol of spirit for the new dungeon drops, which is going to be used to craft the runes from the spiritual realm. We do have the artifacts are getting modified a little bit. We have, these are integrations for the artifacts. They're kind of condensing them into less artifacts that are just stronger in general. And then we also have a new sub-property, and then we also have some that are being removed. They have removed up here. Then we have some rune artifact revamps. We basically already went over all this stuff. This is just talking about all the progression changes to the monster's skill ups. Also, you can summon up to 100 unknown scrolls at a time. Not mysticals, but you can summon up to 100 unknown scrolls at a time. I think it's somewhere in here. But we've already kind of discussed these progression revamp in another video. Also, one thing that I do want to mention, it's somewhere around here. There's just paragraphs of text that we've already just covered, so I don't want to cover it a billion times. But the way XP is working, if you're farming Famine, for example, is going to work. If you guys are familiar with Epic 7, it's going to work kind of like that now, where if you have one monster farming and then another one that is like your farmer monster, and then you have 3 other spots, instead of those 3 spots getting the XP getting split between those, if you only have 1 unit in those 3 other slots, now they're going to get all the XP. So this is kind of similar to, I believe this is how Epic 7 XP farming works, if I recall correctly. It's been a while since I even logged into Epic 7, but I believe that that's how that works for that game, which is just a better one. So you don't have to have, like, if you only want to raise XP on 1 unit, you can just put a farming unit and then one other unit, and you don't waste XP by doing that. So it's nice. It's in here somewhere. Also, I don't think they touched on this previously, the Rainbow Mon revamp. So you can no longer power up or evolve Rainbow Mons. I know it's not terrible, don't worry, but I know some people are going to have some very opinionated thoughts on this, because some people really like evolving Rainbow Mons 5-starring all the 2-star and 3-star Rainbow Mons, putting them in all the XP buildings. You can't do that anymore. Rainbow Mons placed in XP buildings will no longer acquire XP. 2 to 3-star Rainbow Mons max level will no longer drop in the Kairos Dungeon Rift of Worlds. So this is just changing to 3-star and 4-star Rainbow Mon instead of the 2 and 3-star ones. They're just changing the way it works. You can't do as much with Rainbow Mons, but it's still going to be faster progression. You won't really need to, so just keep that in mind. Keep an open mind about it, because I know some people are going to jump to conclusions on this. Just play around with it first, and then see. It's not as bad as you may think, even though you're not going to be able to get the XP from those XP buildings. Summon Henge revamp, able to summon up to 100. Look at this thing. Summon up to 100 unknown scrolls. Most people probably don't care about it. Some people that are hoping to use their 10,000 plus unknown scroll stash to 6-star some units very fast and efficiently. We'll see how fast and efficient it actually is, but I think some people might like that. Not too many, but some people. And then what else do we have? Crafting revamp. They're actually changing. I don't think they mentioned this, did they? I don't think they mentioned the crafting materials here, but we do also have the legend runes, which is, in theory, it's really nice. Potentially, it's really nice. We already know that it's gonna be full of pain. They're gonna find a way to infuse this with pain. And also, it looks like they took out the rune pieces. I don't remember if they talked about this or not previously. I might have just not been too focused on the rune crafting. Max slots for monsters and items increased, which we already kind of touched on before. Early gameplay improvement, we already touched on this before. Oh, this is the new Battle Angel skin for the next season of RTA. Also, there's a seahorse ride and sealed magic transmogrification item over here. So looks pretty cool. They're changing some of the stuff in the RTA shops. This is interesting, which I saw. World Arena support monsters for Arena Season 26. Okay, so you got the Water Dryad, is an Oblivion unit. Water Valkyria, which I think a lot of people probably have at this point. This is one of the older Nat 5s. So, I mean, people have had more time to actually get her. What else do we have? Water Druid, which, you know, he's not going to have very good runes and not any grinds, but some of these things are pretty decent units if they had the rune quality. But this is really not for high-level gameplay. High-level gameplay, Comtros expects you to have your own runes and stuff. This is just for people that are kind of playing at low level, trying to get their feet wet, instead of having to use, like, Lauren and Crow and Naomi and Sigmaris in RTA and like, I wonder why I'm not winning. At least they'll have, like, a chance to win in, like, Fight or 2. So these are not intended to be high-level units. They would not do that because they want people to spend money to actually summon the units themselves and then spend more money on the rune packs, etc., etc. But we do have Water Druid, Water Paladin, Fire Brownie Magician. He's not going to have fast enough. Like, this is an easy thing. Just use your own. This is an easy thing. Fire Slayer, Fire Beast Rider could be interesting. You know they're not going to have any good runes on that. But I don't think the 4-stars are going to be really, especially the Brownie Magician, where you need him to be, like, super fast, and he's not, he's not, without grinds, he's not going to be super fast. Wind Hell Lady, Wind Weapon Master, Wind Sea Emperor. I can't imagine too many people actually using the Wind Sea Emperor and the Fire Brownie Magician, unless it's a bluff. But, yeah, I can't imagine too many people actually going to use those successfully. Some of these don't require as much stats, but still. Like the Brownie Magician, you need him to be like plus 200 and more speed, depending on how fast you need to be. Oh, and the light dice Magician. Again, this is just really for low level players that are new and trying to get the hang of RTA. So, I think that this is, for the most part, we have new mock battles, new title screen. I'm sure some of you already noticed. 3 days of discount event for returning users. Get some codes, we get some error fixes. Okay, let's talk about the new units. All the new units. Okay, so we have the 4-star Asuras first. Brutal Fists attack the enemy 3 times, leave a branding effect. They all do like lots and lots of multi-hits. Leaves a branding effect for 15% chance each. In addition, you attack the enemy 1 more time if the attack power is higher than the enemy target. So 3 to 4 hits on skill 1. That's not that bad. Not that bad. Attack the enemy, Stormfist, attack the enemy 3 times, increase your attack bar by 15% each if the attack lands a critical hit. The number of attacks increases up to 6 times according to your attack power. These things are going to be ridiculous with additional damage artifacts. So many multi-hits. That's 6 attacks, potentially. 6 attacks. And this is based on attack power, so you can just rune him with, well, you also do want to, you do want high crit rate on him too, so, yeah. And then we have Sura's Seal. I'm thinking of all the drawbacks. Attacks the enemy 4 times to, but these are all 4 stars, these ones. So, 4 times to inflict damage that ignores all damage reduction effects. It increases their skill cooldown by 1 turn with a 30% chance each. The number of attacks increase up to 8 times according to the difference between the target and your attack power. So all of these things are, I believe all of them are, yeah, the higher attack power, higher attack power, higher attack power, yeah. All this stuff is, you want to have, they're all, oh, no, the dark one is an HP type. Everything else is attack type. But yeah, you want to have high attack power on all of these things, which makes it kind of tricky if some of these are that you need to crit. Not all of them you need to crit, but some of these you need to crit. So, what else do we have? The water one, I believe we already discussed the water one in the last one. He's got the same first and second skills. His passive is gradually increase your attack power whenever you attack the enemy, so it's going to be a little bit easier to get the crazy stacked attack power on him, as long as you have to attack those, not based on them getting turns like some other units. He has to actually attack. So then we have the wind one, attack the enemy 3 times, branding. It's the same first skill. I don't know why I'm going over it again. AoE, God's Weapon, is the second skill too. For these, attacks all enemies 2 to 4 times, inflicts continuous damage for 2 turns with a 50% chance each. This could be very interesting considering for the Abyss dungeons, you can't use dupes. So if you have a Melia Giant Speed 12 team, this could be, for the Abyss one, this could be an option for that. I know some people use other dots units. Water Cowgirl is pretty decent for dots as well. But this could be a nice other option. Other things is like the Wind Poison Master. What else? The Wind Ivor. So, and then we have the Barrage of Madness, attacks all enemies 3 to 5 times. Look at all these multi-hits. Additional damage on these multi-hits is going to be crazy. Attacks all enemies 3 to 5 times, absorbs their attack bar by 10% each. The more harmful effects granted on target, the higher the chance of inflicting more number of attacks. Could be very, very, this seems like it's going to be, these units are going to be pretty strong. It seems like they're going to be pretty strong. So then we have the same second skill for the light one, attack the enemy 3 times, is the same as the fire and the water ones, is a single target. Increase your attack bar by 15% each if the attack lands a critical hit, and then up to 6 times. And then we have the Anguish of the Underworld passive, inflicts additional. So this one's kind of interesting. I had to think about this at first, and we will have to see how this plays out in actual battles to see how we feel about this. But this already looks very strong. Inflicts additional damage to all enemies and stuns them for 1 turn if you attack the enemy 7 times in total on your turn. When the effect activates, the accumulated count refreshes. So I want to see this, like the actual conditions of it activating, and then what it does. Additional damage. We'll see. We'll see how much this actually does. But this seems like it could be a very fun unit, very potentially nasty unit. And then we have this is the only one that's an HP unit. These are all 4 stars yet again. I just wanted to mention that again. Skill 2 is the continuous damage, AoE continuous damage here, and then the God's Wrath passive is if your HP is 50% or above when you get a turn, you go under the threat state while the enemy attacks with a single target skill 1 time. In addition, when you are attacked during the enemy's turn, you counterattack by the number of hits received to inflict damage proportion to your max HP, and decreases the enemy's defense with a 30% chance. This could be pretty interesting for Guild Siege defense, I feel. We'll see what the leader skills are. I didn't even think about that before, but they may have leader skills. So you never know. You never know if things have Guild War leader skills, or Guild content leader skills, or arena leader skills, or speed leads, or HP leads. So that makes them all pretty. Leader skills make a huge difference. I don't have to tell you. You already know. Then we have the Indras. So these are all 5 stars. These are fire. It's not fire. I mean, he is fire. Attack, defense, attack. So one of these defense, attack, attack. And this dark one is an HP unit. 3 of them are attack, though. So we have the Thunder Shot. First skill for all of them. Attacks the enemies. Decrease its attack bar by 30% with a 50% chance. When used during the Thunderous state, this is kind of like a Berserk state with the BKs. When used during the Thunderous state, you attack additionally with lower damage to enemies of the same attribute as the target. Did they change the wording on this? I think they changed the wording on this a little bit, but I could just be my imagination that I'm just reading it in a different frame of mind, so I think that they changed the wording. Wild's Bolt attacks all enemies, decreases their attack power for 2 turns with a 70% chance. When used during the Thunderous state, leaves a branding effect for 2 turns with a 40% chance. I'd like to see how much this goes up after skill ups. So all their skills just get better when they're under the Thunderous state. The Chain Effect passive uses the same skill with reduced damage to attack the enemy once again when you attack the enemy on your turn. While under the Thunder state, the duration of Thunder state increases by 1 turn with a 25%. There's a lot in here. Guys, like these, you have to think about these units for like more than 15 seconds. Because there's some finesse. They have to like, you know what these kind of remind me of? The Druids a little bit. It may seem weird that they kind of remind me of the Druid just a tiny bit, because they go into the Thunder state, which is kind of like the Druids switching form to kind of change a little bit. So I think that's the easiest. They're not exactly like the Druids, though. They're just something to keep in mind. Druids or BKs, where they have this thing where they change what their skills do just slightly. So yeah, duration of the Thunder state increases by 1 turn with a 25% just randomly, like RNG, like Violent Runes, whenever you attack the enemy on your turn. And then the Flame Thunder falls under the Thunder state that enhances your skills for 3 turns, instantly gains another turn. While under the Thunder state, your attack power increases by 50%. And then once the Thunder state ends, you become stunned for 1 turn. So 3 turns the Thunder state. They're all 3 turns Thunder state, but he can increase it over and over and over again with good RNG. So this is kind of interesting, though, the chain effect of like, I'm just thinking Wild's Bolt, right? AoE attack power and brand, right? Attack, break, and brand. And then do this again. Use the same skill with reduced damage to attack the enemy once again when you attack the enemy on your turn. So I think it's just like Wild Bolt chained into another Wild Bolt could be potentially kind of nasty. I see some really interesting stuff there. Some really dangerous, nasty stuff there. So, and then we have the water one. This kind of reminds me of the Wind Druid, not the Water Druid, the Wind Druid. So we got the same first skill. Divine Punishment Thunderbolt attacks all enemies, recover the HP by 30% of the inflicted damage, and decrease their attack speed for 2 turns with 50% chance. While under the remember, he's defense-based unit. While under the Thunder state, the attack inflicts damage according to your defense and provokes all enemies for 2 turns. So, Wind One does have a he does have a provoke. They have other similar stuff though, but also think about this kind of like the Wind Gargoyle as well. He does the thunder. He's not the same thing, but he does a defense-based provoke. And then we have the Might Resurrection passive, revives with 30% HP when you're defeated and falls under the Thunder state for 3 turns, while under the Thunder state decreases incoming damage by the enemy by 25% and 50% if the incoming damage is from the provoked enemy. If the incoming damage is less than 10% of your max HP, the duration of the Thunder state increases by 1 turn. So, kind of interesting there. If he's fighting against some units that are not damage dealers, that are just support units, he can potentially keep increasing his Thunder estate. But he revives himself. He does AoE provokes, and he does damage based on defense, which makes me kind of think the Wind Druid is a similar unit to him. And then we have the Sea Thunder falls under the Thunder estate that enhances your skills for 3 turns, instantly gains another turn. While under the Thunder estate, your defense increases by 100%. That's a lot, and it's not like a thing that you can, well, I don't know what the Thunder estate, I don't know if you can strip the Thunder estate just yet, because the units aren't actually out in the game, so we'll see that, we'll see how it's implemented soon. I would assume that it's going to work the same as Berserk state, but that's just my assumption. So yeah, I think it's an interesting unit. It reminds me of Tyrannus kind of. So take that for what it is. The wind one we already talked about in the previous video. He's got the same second skill as the fire one. And then we have the Might Hurricane Path. Oh, this is the speed. He gets super, super, super fast, and he does damage based on speed. This is going to be the one that you're going to see Leo being picked into, because he gets kind of crazy over time, falls under the Thunder Estate, and enhances your skills for 3 turns, instantly gains another turn. In addition, your attack speed increases by 30% up to 150% whenever you use the Wind Thunder. So, potentially nasty, getting tons and tons and tons of turns, which is very dangerous. And then we have the Light one. Same for skill. Second skill is the AoE attack power and brand. AoE attack power break. And then in Thunder Estate, we'll do a brand just like the wind one and the fire one. So all the attack power ones do the attack type ones do the same skill too. And then we have the Might Thunder passive. So this one looks kind of nasty. Stun the enemy for 1 turn with a 50% chance whenever you attack the enemy, while under the Thunder Estate, decrease the enemy's defense for 2 turns when you attack the enemy. If the target is stunned after the attack, yes, he does stuns and defense breaks, in addition to attack power breaks, in addition to brands. Very nasty. If the target is stunned after the attack, the duration of Thunder Estate increases by 1 turn. This looks a little bit nanners. Falls under the, and then the Light Thunder falls under the Thunder Estate that enhances your skills for 3 turns, instantly gains another turn. While under the Thunder Estate, your critical rate becomes 100%. When the Thunder Estate ends, you become stunned for 1 turn, etc., etc., etc. So this one, AoE attack power breaks, brands, defense breaks, stuns, and his crit rate is 100%. Kind of dangerous. We'll see what leader skills, we'll see the stats, the base speeds, etc., etc., but that one looks potentially nasty. Potentially a nasty cleave unit. And then the dark one, this is an HP type. It is different from the other ones. So we have attack, again, attack, defense, attack, and HP. First skill is the same. Second skill is the AoE. Actually, it's a totally different second skill. Divine Punishment Thunderbolt attacks all enemies to recover the HP by 30% of the inflicted damage. Decrease their attack speed for 2 turns while under the Thunder Estate. Attack inflicts damage that increases according to your max HP, because he's an HP type unit. Provokes all enemies for 2 turns. So he does a provoke as well, but his is based on his max HP, and then the water one is based on his defense. And then we have the Overcharge passive, increases the damage dealt to the enemy, but this kind of reminds me of Lydia. Increases the damage. That's just the easiest way to get your head around it. Increase the damage dealt to the enemy by 10% up to 50% whenever you receive damage from the enemy. If you receive damage while under the Thunder Estate, you inflict 30% of the received damage and increase the duration of the Thunder Estate by 1 turn with 50% chance. And then we have the... So you kind of see what I'm talking about when I say it's kind of similar-ish to Lydia. Falls under the Thunder Estate, and not of course not the same, just the easiest thing to kind of reference, like, oh, this is more like this than some of the other units. Dark Thunder falls under the Thunder Estate that enhances your skills for 3 turns, instantly gains another turn. While under the Thunder Estate, your max HP increases by 30%. Once the Thunder Estate ends, you become stunned for 1 turn. You know, now that I'm saying all of the, you know, the last skills over and over and over again, I'm like, you just use Josephine, make some get some value out of that. Do their Thunder Estate, they get stunned. Just aggressively pick Josephine, because you don't have to worry about your opponents having stuns or not, and you should be good to go. They look very strong. Some of these units, they come out and I'm like, I don't know if I like it. I'm like, I get that these units are not, they're not like, oh, you have to try to think about the specific place to use them, or like try to jump through hoops to get them to work. It seems like they're just gonna be decent units just regardless. So I don't think it's gonna take too much. These aren't like crazy balance patch filler. I mean, they may be in balance patches. I'm not saying they're not, but these are not looking like balance patch filler units necessarily. So there we go. 8.0. This is so much better than a King Slime. It's got, guys, please. I think we can all agree this is better than a King Slime. At the very least. At the very least. So anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you're as excited about 8.0 as I am, and we're going to have plenty of videos coming up in the next few days, so stay tuned, and I'll see you as always in the next one.